Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our board organizational meeting of the 2022-2023 school year. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 9:03 and turn it over to Trustee Toon for our land acknowledgement.
Oki, welcome to our division office located on the traditional land and territory of the Niitsitapi, Piikani, Kainai, and Siksika, the Blackfoot people, within the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta.
Thank you so much, Trustee Toon. Would ask everyone now to stand for the playing of O Canada. Thank you so much. We'll move on to item B, emergent changes to the agenda, and the recommendation is that the September 26, 2022 board organizational meeting be approved by the Board of Trustees as presented or amended. Is there anyone who needs to make an amendment? Okay, I would like to make an amendment just to add E5, disclosure of board member conflict of interest and stipulation changes. This is something that I should have added to the organizational meeting before it went out, and it needs to happen. So just one more time, it's the disclosure of board member, conflict of interest, and stipulation changes. Okay, Trustee Hodges.
Thank you. When I was reviewing the board package, I noticed that on our committees, we didn't have the ad hoc committee on here for our Grand Prairie Public Committee to review. So I just thought we should add that to the discussion.
Thank you so much. So the ad hoc committee, so we'll just put to be added, the ad hoc committee, are all of our ad hoc committees on here? You're like, keep one? Yes, okay. Okay, so normally our ad hoc committees are not listed among all of our committees. Maybe we could make a change to that in like moving forward. But Trustee Hodges would like the Grand Prairie ad hoc committee.
I don't know that, I can't remember the official name
Trustee
of it.
Toon,
Trustee
do you
Toon,
have the official name of
chair on
that?
one?
You're testing my memory. It's too early in the morning for that. I think it was the accountability.
That's right. Accountability measures ad hoc committee. Thank you. And yes, and the chair is Trustee Toon with Trustee Yegus as a member, and also to include the board chair as a. You were on there because you were chair. Okay. So I'm just going to pause for 1 second, and we better just pull the motion up that has that, so.
I have the motion from October of 21 when it was formed?
Yes,
Okay. Do you want me to read it for you?
please do, thank you.
Trustee Toon moved that the Board of Trustees approve the draft board accountability and improvement measure and assign the method of accountability ad hoc committee to bring the final report to the board for approval at a future board meeting. So it was called the Method of Accountability Ad Hoc Committee.
Okay, and it didn't say anything about the members in there? Go ahead, Trustee Hodges.
I think when we design an ad hoc committee, the members that are on it stay on it until it is done. So when we designed the committee, it was myself, Clara, and our trustee, I guess, and Trustee Toon on it.
Yep.
I don't think that we need to change the members that were on it. That's because it's an ad hoc committee and it has a start and end date, so.
Does it have an end date, just when it's presented? Okay, perfect. Okay. That's great. That has a representative from each ward now as well, so that's great. Okay. Thank you so much, Nikki. We really are putting you to the test on a Monday morning here. Any other emergent changes to the agenda before we move forward? Okay, seeing none. Sorry, I'm sure that's loud. Okay, so the recommendation is that the September 26th, 2022 Board Organizational Meeting agenda be approved by the Board of Trustees as amended. Can I get someone to make that motion? Trustee Yagos, sorry, we should have made that motion before discussing it. Okay, all in favor? Okay, that's passed. Okay, moving on to section C, declaration of conflict of interests, that the Board of Trustees declare if they have any conflict of interest related to agenda items from the September 26, 2022 Board Organizational Meeting, and if so, they should declare them. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to action items D. Beg your pardon. D1. Okay, as per policy 9.1.E.2, the audit committee is tasked with making a recommendation for board trustee remuneration. As such, the committee met on a couple of occasions and are prepared to present the recommendations. Lori Hodges, chair of the audit committee, will bring forward the trustee remuneration recommendations from the audit committee. We'll start with recommendation number 1, that the audit committee recommends and directs the policy committee to move the content found in policy 86-1.1.A.H, quote, internet, phone, and mobile costs, end quote, to appendix C, thus creating line item 7. This is being moved by Trustee Gimber. Trustee Gimber, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. So as mentioned, the audit committee did review policy 8.6 in detail, and beginning with section 6.1, we're recommending the change just to maintain continuity with the line items that are in policy 8.6.1A and the definition of remuneration that's in policy 8.6.1.
Thank you so much. We'll open that up for discussion if anyone has questions or comments about that. Okay, seeing none. Trustee Gimber, did you feel the need to close?
I'm fine, thank you.
Perfect. So we will now vote on the recommendation number 1, that the Audit Committee recommends and directs the Policy Committee to move the content found in Policy 8.6.1.A.H, quote, internet, phone, and mobile costs, end quote, to Appendix C, thus creating line item 7. All in favor? That has passed. Thank you, thank you, Audit Committee. We'll move on to recommendation number 2. The Audit Committee recommends and directs the Policy Committee to amend Policy 8, Appendix C 1, to base honorarium for the board chair of $566.67 per month, the board vice chair to $491.67 per month, and the trustees to $416.67 per month. This one's being moved by Trustee Hodges. And did you want to speak to that, Trustee Hodges?
Thank you. When we were tasked with looking at the remuneration for the board, the previous audit committee had looked at lowering that amount per month for trustees and the board chair. And we got looking at all the work that trustees do and the board chair does and the vice chair, and we felt that it was, in the past it had seen that we had gone to this amount because of all the work, and then it was lowered, and we just didn't see that changing, and so we wanted to move it back to the original amounts because of everything that happens before meetings, after meetings, during schools and stuff like that. So we felt that the audit committee felt that this was a good recommendation to go back to the original amount. And so, yeah, unless anybody else from the audit committee has anything they'd like to add, I can open it up for if anybody has any questions around it.
Thank you very much, Trustee Hodges. I'll open that up for discussion. Trustee Toon?
Yeah, I appreciate the rationale to the increase, but this doesn't come into account that there was a significant increase in the per diems that were paid out, and that's why there was a decrease to the honorarium. When we adopted the government rate, that was a significant increase to what we were paying, and sometimes it amounted to more than double what the rates were paid out, and that's significant, and it goes across to all meetings and that we attend, that pay per diem. So I'm not comfortable in increasing the honorarium. I know there's a lot of work that goes outside of meetings, but when we went to this format and we changed the honorarium, we had a discussion that if you're gonna increase one severely, there is a reduction in one, and the result would be a net zero. Well, if you increase the per diem like we did previously, and now this year you raise the honorarium, that's a significant raise. Was there any discussion or numbers brought forward to show what the cost would be overall, percentage-wise, to what of an increase that would be?
Thank you, Trustee Toon. Sorry, did someone from the audit committee want to address Trustee Toon's question? Go ahead, Trustee Hodges.
No, we did not have the numbers brought forward to show the exact amount for the increase that it would be. But I just wanted to speak just to a little bit of a point that was brought forward, that we do not get paid for any of all work that's done outside of the meetings, and we only get paid for the meetings. There's a lot of prep work that goes into meetings, especially for board work and for the board agendas and the meeting of the wholes. There's a lot of committees out there that require a lot of prep work prior to the meeting, and then you only get paid for the meeting time. So that's why this was brought forward.
Thank you, Trustee Hodges. Trustee Long?
Would there be somebody on the audit committee that could show where we are, in other words, place us in comparison in total remuneration to the other, is it 60 boards that are in the province?
Thank you, Trustee Long. I'm not certain that audit committee has access to that number right now. Go ahead, Trustee Hodges.
We don't have access to that exact number, but in our presentation, when we presented it to the board, we showed where we were in line with when we did the, sorry, Carla, trustee, how many boards did we compare to?
We reviewed the majority of the boards in the province, but the comparisons in that presentation were for 5 different, 5 boards, us included. And I think I can give you those numbers if you'd like. Or do you need
Trustee
to see
Long, did
them?
you want those numbers just from the 5?
It doesn't necessarily have to be a number in terms of dollars, but I'm wondering, so there are 61 boards in the province, and I know you didn't look at all 61, but of the boards you looked at, where did we place? So if we looked at 10 boards, are we the lowest? Are we the highest? Are we the 6th highest? Do you have any idea?
Yes, so with regards to base honorarium, the trustee amount for chair is the lowest. Ours, so I looked at 5. LRSD was $292 for the chair. The highest was $1,662.50. For vice chair, LRSD is $125. The highest was $1,508.33. And for just a trustee, shouldn't say just, but for a trustee, $100 for LRSD, and the highest we looked at was $1,450.
Thank you, Trustee Gimber. Trustee Toon, is that, Trustee Long, is that satisfactory? Thank you. Any other conversation or discussion around this? Go ahead, Trustee Yagos.
Yes, in terms of the base honorarium, we also do not get paid other than the school councils for going to anything within the schools. We get our mileage, but that is it. So now, now that we're doing more face-to-face, we are more engaged within our schools in a lot of the things like barbecues, et cetera, and we really do not get paid for any of that, but we are spending our time doing that too. So that base honorarium covers a lot of things other than just the prep time that everybody does before for any of the meetings and everything.
Thank you, Trustee Yagos. Trustee Stankiewicz, did you have anything you'd like to add to the conversation?
As part of the Labor Committee, privy to information, and I believe we are on the provincial average with paying our employees in our schools and in our administration. And I don't believe that we are continuing that continuity within the board.
Thank you, Trustee Stankiewicz. Okay, I appreciate the, I was just going to share my thoughts, but I would love to hear from you again, Trustee Toon. Go ahead.
No, I appreciate the discussion, and part of the challenge is there are so many ways that trustees across the province are remunerated. We have boards that just do an honorarium, have no per diem, so it doesn't matter what meetings you attend. You could in fact say they're not paid to attend any meetings, and so it's really complex when we're looking at this. And when you look at our base honorarium, it is significantly lower than everyone else's, but the majority of boards don't pay at the government rate that also the Alberta School Boards Association adopted. So it isn't really a fair comparison. As I look at this and contemplate, would I like to shoot for average? That's a nice thought to do, but we have to be conscious on how big of an increase it is, and I can't vote for something not knowing how big of an increase it is. I don't know what the percentage of increase it is. I don't know what the budget implication of this. There is no number that says this will be that big of an increase when we negotiate with our teachers and our bus drivers and the people that we do as sit on with the labor committees and those, we know what percentage of increase and stuff they're asking for and what we settle for. So I'm just not comfortable in approving something where we don't have the full information of what the impact would be on it.
Thank you so much, Trustee Toon. Okay, any other further questions or comments? So I've had the opportunity to sit on the audit committee, and I appreciate the work that they've done in bringing this recommendation forward. This recommendation was originally brought forward by the remuneration committee when we moved to first having a monthly honorarium, and it was determined by that remuneration committee that the work that we did outside of our meetings was worth this dollar amount. This current audit committee did not come up with this dollar amount. We're just going back to it. And while I agree that, you know, we have made some increases, we've moved to the government rate of pay, it does not decrease the work that we do outside of our meetings. And so I agree that I would be in favor with this move. So I just want to share my thoughts also. Trustee Hodges, did you want to close?
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's comments here today. I just, as a board member, we've always said this is not a volunteer position, and we really would like to be out in our schools and are invited to our schools to attend lots of different things. When you work, it's really hard to take some time off to be able to go to these things and lose money. We've always said this is not a lose money job. We always wanted to make sure trustees were able to do what they wanted to do and be able to be out in the communities and talk with our schools, because that's what we love to do, and that's why we're doing the job that we do, because we are here for our kids. I feel that this is an appropriate amount. It's like Trustee Poitras said, we did not come up with this amount. We are just going back to it because we felt that our committees are busier. There's a lot more work involved in them now, and we are busier as trustees. And we just wanted to make sure that as trustees that you weren't losing out on anything, and that I feel like we are worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hodges. With that, we will move on to voting on the recommendation. Recommendation number 2, D.1.2, that the Audit Committee recommends and directs the Policy Committee to amend Policy 8, Appendix C1, to base honorarium for the Board Chair of $566.67 per month, the Board Vice Chair to $491.67 per month, and the Trustee to $416.67 per month. Go ahead, Trustee Toon.
I'd ask for a recorded vote, please, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. All of those in favor, please raise your hand. And please leave your hand raised for the recorded vote. Thank you. And those against the motion? Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to recommendation number 3. The Audit Committee recommends and directs the Policy Committee to amend Policy 8, Appendix C3, travel time remuneration to $41 per hour, further including, quote, unless otherwise indicated by trustee due to travel delays such as, but not limited to, weather, road work, accidents, etc., end quote, as the final line in Appendix C3. This is being moved by Trustee Gimber. Would you like to speak to that, Trustee Gimber?
Yes, please. So the Audit Committee spent time discussing Policy 8, Appendix C3, travel time, and have developed a recommendation. After considering the per diem under 2-hour rate of $82, the Audit Committee recommends changing the travel time hourly remuneration from $20 to $41. This is in line with the travel time remuneration for other school divisions and the low, medium, and high hourly wage levels in our region from the Government of Canada Job Bank website.
Thank you, Trustee Gimber. We'll open that up to comments, questions, concerns. Trustee Toon?
Yeah, huge concern with this. When you're talking about doubling, that's a huge increase. We just did a big increase on our honorarium, and I would be opposed to this. We can't try and fix everything all in one swoop. We can leave some stuff till next year, and we've don't know what the ramifications are for budget with what we just did, and to double the travel time rate, what I think would be out of line and out of order.
Thank you, Trustee Toon. Trustee Long?
Yeah, I would disagree with that. Trustee Gimber has said that this is in line with what the other boards are, and so I'm in favor of it, and I disagree that you can't fix everything all at once. Certainly, we have the opportunity to correct our remuneration right now, and now's the time to do it, not put it off.
Thank you, Trustee Long. I just have a question for Mr. Perry. Is the hourly remuneration that the trustees receive what the rest of the division bases the hourly remuneration on, or are they not remunerated hourly for travel? Could you just speak to that a little bit? Thank you.
Yeah, so employees are already being paid whatever their salary is. And so it's not taken into consideration when we look at travel. They're already being remunerated. So it would not, what you're saying, what your question is, the rest of the jurisdiction is not based on what is decided at this point. That's mileage, which has an impact on what the others.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Further comments, questions? No? Okay, thank you. Would you like to close, Trustee Gimber, or?
No, I think I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. So the Audit Committee's third recommendation is that the Audit Committee recommends and directs the Policy Committee to amend Policy 8, Appendix C3, travel time remuneration to $41 per hour. Further, include, quote, unless otherwise indicated by trustee due to travel delays, such as but not limited to weather, roadwork, accidents, etc., end quote, as the final line in Appendix C3. Okay. Trustee Toon?
I would ask for a recorded vote, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We'll be recording this vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Oh, sorry. Leave your hands up for in favor so that Nikki can record them. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, and those who are against the motion? Thank you very much. And that is passed. Perfect. Okay, we'll move on to D2. Trustee expense remuneration. Pardon me. As per board policy 8.2.1.d, quote, as per section 10 of this policy, establish annual honorarium benefits, mileage rates, board professional development allocations, and other expense rates. The board chair will review trustee expense remuneration, and the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the benefits, mileage rates, board professional development allocation, and other expense rates as laid out in Appendix C of Policy 8, Board Operations. So I will make this motion and recuse myself as chair. If I can turn that over to you, Mr. Perry, and ask Nikki to please bring up Appendix C.
Okay. Trustee Waitress, would you like to speak to it?
I would. I'll just give Nikki a moment to bring up Appendix C for Policy 8 here. Okay, perfect. So this will now be, the base honorarium will be changed, but the kilometers, oh, this is not updated. Okay, that's okay. So we are paid kilometers at 50 cents per kilometer, and we are now paid, yeah, sorry, 1A up there says, oh, that's for base honorarium, got it, okay. So travel time. The calculation of travel time to attend meetings and events will recognize the time it takes to travel from one's residence to the location of the meeting or event and return. Travel is calculated based on 1 hour of time per 100 kilometers of travel rounded to the closest quarter. For example, 140 kilometers would equal to 1.5 hours of travel time, and 130 would equal to 1.25 hours of travel time, unless otherwise indicated by trustees due to travel delays such as, but not limited to, weather, roadwork accidents, etc. So that will be the addition there, and I'm not proposing any changes to that. The professional learning funds for trustees shall be set to a total of $28,000 per year during the 4-year term, the budget permitting. Of this, $24,500 is designated for individual trustee remuneration to be divided equally between all trustees for expenses related to attendance at conferences, conventions, workshops, online or in person, and any other meeting that does not meet the criteria for this section. 6 in policy 8, I'm sorry. Trustees may access 150% year 1, 125% year 2, 100% year 3, and 25% year 4. Trustees may roll over a maximum of $2,000 per year, except for year 4, where there will be no rollover. Trustees are responsible for tracking their individual professional learning expenses throughout the year and will not be compensated in excess of the budgeted amount. The remaining $3,500 is designated for group professional learning for trustees. And in order to access PL funds, the individual trustees will request approval at public board meetings to ensure that the funds are being spent in line with relevant trustee professional learning activities, board goals, and priorities. As that was just changed, I'm not recommending any changes to that. Per kilometer reimbursement for travel less than 5 kilometers as per the provincial rate, more than 5 kilometers, sorry, as per the provincial rate of 0.505 per kilometers for eligible meetings. Mr. Perry spoke earlier about hourly remuneration for travel. Doesn't affect the rest of the division, but the rest of the division does base their per kilometer travel on the trustees' travel. And so if ours changes, theirs would change also. As we haven't had time to look into that, the audit committee and no one else has made any motion for a change at this time. And number 6 is meals reimbursement is breakfast $10, lunch $12, supper $25, or based on a receipt. So I'm making the motion that the Board of Trustees approve the mileage rates, board professional development allocation, and other expense rates that are laid out here as they are. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, just let me look at this one more time. Right here. Okay, so with regards to, just clarification, Trustee Poitras, with regards to that the Board of Trustees approve the benefits, mileage rates, board professional development and allocation and other expense rates as laid out in Appendix C of Policy 8, Board Operations, it is status quo as far as what you just went through.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there any comments or questions? Trustee Kimber?
I'd like to request that we go in camera, please.
Okay, we will motion is to go in camera. Any opposed to going in camera? Okay, at 9:38 we will go in camera. We'll just give a little bit of time to pause the recording. Okay. Okay. Just for information, Trustee Stankiewicz made a motion to come out of camera at 10 a.m. And so we are now back into our public meeting. We are still discussing the motion that was put on the table by Trustee Poitras. So is there any further discussion around the motion? Seeing none, Trustee Poitras, do you want to close on this motion?
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate how intricate our remuneration is, and the appendix has a lot of information in it. So it's a lot to consider, and some of the pieces have impacts throughout the division. So without being able to look too much further into any major changes, I'm happy to make this recommendation that we just follow the status quo for the time being.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Poitras. We will now call the question. So the motion on the table is that the Board of Trustees approve the benefits, mileage rates, board professional development allocation, and other expense rates as laid out in Appendix C of Policy 8, Board Operations. All in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. I will now transfer the chair back to Trustee Poitras.
Thank you. You cannot, yeah. You can ask to have your vote recorded after the fact. Okay. Thank you guys so much. That brings us on to item E1, appointment of standing committees. I'll ask Nikki to please bring those up. All trustees are appointed to the following committees: Superintendent Evaluation Committee, Board Self-Evaluation Committee, Planning Committee, and Committee of the Whole, and First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and LRSD Liaison Committee. The following committees are 2-year terms, and as we are 1 year in, we are just reaffirming these. I'll read them out, and if there's any concerns, please raise your hand. Oh wait, first can I get a motion that the Board of Trustees reaffirm the 2022-2023 committees representation as per the 2021-2022 school year as presented or amended. Go ahead, Trustee Team.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd make that motion, and
Thank
in
you.
light of your recent voice
Thank
issues,
you.
I would say as presented. We don't need you to read all those for us.
Perfect.
Save
Thank
you
you.
some work on that.
Thanks, Trustee Toon. Okay, so we're gonna accept them as presented. Thank you so much to Trustee Toon.
Madam
Trustee
Chair,
Yegus?
there is one committee on here that we're going to have to change because there seemed to be a misunderstanding when we brought it up. And that is the ATA Executive / LRSD Trustee Liaison Committee.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Trustee Yegus. So the ATA Executive / LRSD Trustee Liaison Committee currently says that it is.
Well, it says on here, but in the policy, it says 2 trustees, including the board chair, and obviously that was a misunderstanding. I would like to make that change of the policy committee, make a change of that, saying it's 1 trustee and the board chair.
Okay, so we'll just, so just before we go to making a motion, it currently reads that the chair of that committee is Trustee Yegus, and the second member is Trustee Stankiewicz.
Yeah.
However, it says in Board Policy 9N-3 that it says
2 trustees.
I got it, okay. Membership is an ATA executive, 3 members, including the local ATA president, and our LRSD will have 2 trustees, including the board chair and the superintendent or designate. So based on that, thank you, trustee Yegus. Based on that, we will remove both trustee Yegos and trustee Stankiewicz. The board chair will be a standing member, and then at this time, I'll ask if there's anyone interested in putting their name forward to join the trustee liaison committee. ATA exec and LRSD trustee liaison committee. Go ahead, trustee Stankiewicz.
I will put my name forward as I'm already on the, well, I was previously, I suppose, and so I would continue that role if the board.
Thank you, trustee Stankiewicz. Is there anyone else who is interested in putting their name forward for that role at this time? Okay, so all in favor of having trustee Stankiewicz sit on that board with the board chair, please show vote in favor. Oh, committees, they're the worst. We still can't figure it out. Okay, and then, so we'll just finish with the committees and then we'll have you make your motion. Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much for clearing that up. Trustee Long, please go ahead.
While we're discussing these, I would go down to community as a classroom, school as a base camp. First of all, we need to do some editing there. It would be Gregory Long as Ward 2, not Ward 3. And I'm wondering if I have heard discussion about this committee, if there is anybody that wants to make some changes to it. I absolutely would like to keep this committee together. We are going full steam ahead, but the other two representatives may have some comments about this committee. Just asking.
Thank you, trustee Long. Trustee Hodges?
Thank you. Although I do agree, Greg, trustee Long, this is a great committee, but it really does focus on the Crow's Nest Pass. And although I appreciate being part of it, it's really hard to sit on it and see where I represent myself and my ward in that, because all the discussion is strictly mostly around the Crow's Nest Pass and what's the initiatives that are happening there and people that have done work in there, and all the presenters are all around Crow's Nest Pass. And so it's really hard to represent my ward in that committee and see where I can bring it back to the board, because you have a representative that sits on there, John Taylor, and so he helps lead this committee too. And so I have a hard time, I just have a hard time seeing where I represent my ward in this and where I can move it forward.
Thank you, trustee Hodges. Trustee Long?
I appreciate those comments, trustee Hodges, and it also is important that we have Associate Superintendent Cusack, and we also have two staff members that are involved, so it is well represented, this committee, and the work is well represented. So what I'm saying is it's definitely up to you personally, whether you think you have a role to play or whether you even have time to play a role.
Thank you, trustee Long. Trustee Toon, did you have any thoughts around this as you're the third representative?
Does trustee Hodges want to go ahead first as our hand was up?
I was ignoring her on purpose.
Thanks. Yeah, I would echo some of what trustee Hodges says. I think that my challenge with this of attending meeting with it is it's extremely operational. So even it's not just about finding a role as a trustee from another ward and having it be focused on the Crow's Nest Pass. I think with all the staff that we have involved with that, I think that is enough representation for that, and that's why I'm hesitant to have a committee at all to do this work.
Thank you, trustee Toon. Trustee Hodges?
Point of information. I'm sorry, I should know this, but is this an ad hoc or a standing committee?
This is currently a standing committee.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to just point out, like, it's not that I don't have the time or want to, for this. I just want to make sure the board is getting the value out of it. So I think it's the board that needs to decide as a whole whether or not we need to have two other representatives on it besides Trustee Long. So I guess the conversation is around whether the board feels that this is viable to have three other paid trustees on it.
Thank you very much. Trustee Long?
No offense was meant by that comment.
Okay, thank you. So the question on the floor is to keep community as a classroom, school as a base camp at 3 representatives, 1 from each ward, or to move it to 1 representative. Is there anyone who feels strongly enough to put a motion on the floor right now, or should we leave it for the time being? Go ahead, Trustee Hodges.
I would like to put the motion on the floor that we move this committee to just having 1 representative that can report back to the board. Yeah, from the ward that's being mostly representative now. So I would move that we just keep Mr. Long on there, Trustee Long.
Move that the committee representation be moved, be assigned to 1 representative from Ward 1. Sorry,
2. Yeah.
1 representative from Ward 2. And as these are 2-year committees, that would stay Trustee Long, and then be up for discussion again next year. So right now we're just discussing this motion. The motion that's on the floor is from Trustee Hodges to move the committee representatives be assigned to 1 representative from Ward 2. Is there any other comments or questions around that piece? Go ahead, Trustee Hodges.
Although we're making this change, I do feel that Trustee Long is really good at communicating what happens at those meetings back to us. And so if at any time we felt like there needed to be someone that could participate in something that was moving outside the Crow's Nest Pass, I think we can revisit it again.
Okay, thank you so much. Leave that as your closing remarks. All in favor of moving to 1 representative that's assigned from Ward 2? All in favor? That is passed. Perfect. Okay. Any other yep, go ahead, Trustee Gimber.
So the JT Foster Modernization Ad Hoc, there should be a 3rd representative on there, and that would be Trustee Gimber.
And also will be referred to as the Nanton Solution
Yes, please.
Modernization Ad Hoc Committee moving forward. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions or concerns around our committees? Go ahead, Trustee Hodges.
I added in there the ad hoc committee for the, what was it called?
Methods of
Method of
accountability?
accountability ad hoc. So I just was wondering if the chair of that committee, Mr. Toon, Trustee Toon, would like to speak to that a little bit and just maybe see where we're moving forward with that.
I think we'll just wait for you guys to have a meeting. The ad hoc committee still has a motion on the floor to bring back method of accountability to the board. We'll just let the ad hoc committee meet and discuss where they're at, as we don't want all committees to go through right now, discuss their validity. Are you comfortable with that, Trustee Hodges? Sure. Yeah, okay, thank you. So the motion on the floor is that the Board of Trustees reaffirm the 2022-2023 committee representations as per the 2021-2022 school year as amended. That was moved by Trustee Toon. Trustee Toon, did you want to close on that at all? Okay. All right. So all in favor? That's passed. Okay, perfect. Okay, E4 is discussion on possible other committee board representation. I'll open up the floor to any discussion on other committees or board representations that people feel we may need at this time. If there's none, that's okay too. Okay, seeing none. Okay. And then we had E5 added, which is disclosure of board member conflict of interest and stipulation changes over the last year. If anything's changed, and anyone will now have a standing conflict of interest, we can make the board aware of that now. Okay, seeing none, we will move to no, we have F10 in camera, but as we already stepped in camera, there's no need for us to go in camera at this time. So we will skip that. Are you allowed to do that? I'm doing it. Okay, perfect. And we will move to our adjournment, that the recommendation of the Board of Trustees vote in favor of the organizational meeting being adjourned. Can I get a motion for that, please? Trustee Hodges makes that motion at 10:18. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting and we'll take a 12-minute personal health break and come back for our organizational meeting. Thank you. For our regular board meeting, I mean. Thank you. Your mic is on, Lori. Your mic is on.